Hi, how's everybody doing? It's Crazy Monkey here again. How's everybody doing? How y'all yuppies, techies, liberals? How are you techie liberals? Yuppies in San Francisco, San Jose, New York City, Boston, Seattle, Portland. How y'all doing tonight? How y'all doing? Alright, so I was just hiking in the mountains for like 5 hours. Just came down from the mountains like an hour ago. It's getting dark outside. It's about dark outside already. And I imagine a lot of my yuppie techie friends in the big cities, I imagine you just got home too, right? From your 1 hour traffic jam on the way home from work. Alright, anyway, we're both home now. You're home from your 1 hour traffic jam and I'm home from my 5 hour hike up in the mountains. But whatever. You choose to pay a $5,000 mortgage payment to live in San Jose, I choose to pay $800 mortgage payment. Different strokes for different folks, right? Just saying. Alright, so anyway, we're going to try to make this blog as good as we can, but I might fall over because I've started my drinking because basically I'm in the middle of a 3-day weekend, that's right, but I'm off 3 days every week, so it's no big deal for me. I'm off 3 days every week, it's no big deal, but I'm in the middle of my 3-day weekend. I'm off tomorrow as well. Probably go hiking tomorrow, but anyway, what I want to talk about right now, I want to talk about gold diggers. That's right, this is going to be a new blog. We're going to talk about gold diggers all night tonight, alright? All night tonight we're going to talk about these gold diggers, and we're going to talk about women, and we're going to talk about society, socialism, corporatism. We're going to talk about it all night tonight, so it's going to be good. We're going to have a few blogs tonight as I continually get effed up, alright? As I continue to get effed up on all my drinks. We're going to have a few blogs tonight, and this is the first one. We're going to have a few of them, alright, as I get continually drunk, alright. But anyway, I remember I lived, let me think where we should get going here. I don't know where we should get going. Alright, this is my sheet, because I'm so messed up right now I can barely remember what I'm talking about, so I got my sheets to tell me what to talk about. You know, right now in our society, men are being destroyed. You know, in general, men are being destroyed. You know, I remember back in San Francisco, I actually lived in San Francisco back in my mid-20s, and I remember, you know, me and my friend were talking. He was a pharmacist, or he was studying to be a pharmacist, and he told me about this study where people's happiness, it like peaks in their early 20s, and then it peaks again in their 50s. And then it's actually lower in their 20s, 30s, 40s. It's actually lower happiness, but then in their early 20s, it peaks, and then in their like 50s, it peaks, but then it's lower in those 20, 30, 40 age brackets. Their happiness is lower. And at first, I was thinking, that don't make no fucking sense. And I told you before, I am gay and I have a husband. I told you that before. My husband, he's a gay Asian bottom, and he's in his late 20s. And he's 110 pounds, just to give you an idea of what he looks like, just to let you know. And the basic point I'm making is that, you know, me and my friend, this is a long time ago, this is like back in my 20s in San Francisco, he told me about this study, and I'm like, that doesn't make no sense. Why would people have their happiness peak in their early 20s, like 19, 20, 21, their happiness peaks, and then their happiness goes way, way down in their 20s, 30s, 40s, their happiness is way lower. And then their happiness peaks again in their 50s. Don't make no sense. I couldn't understand it. You know, I couldn't understand that study. But me and him, we were talking like the whole night. You know what we discovered? You know what we figured out? We figured out, and he was actually a gay Asian guy, like 2 years older than me. I was in my early 20s. No, I was in my mid-20s back then. I was in my mid-20s back then. He was studying pharmacy. He was in his mid to late 20s back then. And we were talking about this for like a few hours, and we figured it out. We both figured out why this would be. It's because people start having children in their 20s and 30s. They're having their children. Children make them stressed out, and then their happiness goes down. And then on top of that, you have a lot of people getting divorced. And they're like late 20s, mid-30s, early 40s. They're getting divorced. And these guys are paying vagina money, and alimony, and child support. So naturally, the happiness is going to go way down, you know what I'm saying? And then in their 50s, then I guess their happiness goes back up, because I guess if they're still married, the children, are gone by then. Children are gone by then, so it's like the honeymoon phase again. But then the problem is you're so old you can't enjoy the honeymoon phase, you know what I'm saying? But in a way, that kind of makes sense, you understand what I'm saying? So, the next thing we want to talk about is, I was living in Alaska about 15 years ago. I'm just reading off the script I got here, because I'm so fucked up, I barely know what I'm saying right now. But when I was living up in Alaska, y'all, this is back in my mid to late 20s, alright? I met several, mostly white guys, I think it was mostly white guys, and they were going to like the Philippines. These guys in like their 30s, maybe 40. They were going to the Philippines to marry Filipino women and then go back to Alaska. Every one of these relationships ended in divorce. Alright, here's what happened. I met several people that did this, like multiple white guys. One of them was a close friend, not a close friend, but like a friend, acquaintance type. And then he had a friend that did it, another person I knew did it. And they all basically went to the Philippines, they got a Filipino wife, and they came back to America, and within like 2 to 3 years after the Filipino wife got her green card citizenship, whatever it's called, and she could basically permanently stay in the U.S., the second that happened, she filed for divorce within days. Within days. Every three times. Every one of those examples, she filed for divorce within days of getting her, green card citizenship. So once she knew she could stay in America, she basically filed for divorce within days or weeks. Real quick. Alright? But, I realized right then the female nature. I realized right then what female nature was. See, when these guys, these were like blue-collar guys making like $50,000 a year, blue-collar guys. So when they went to the Philippines, these Filipino women, and this is all women in general, all feminine nature in general, they saw these guys as like the top 5%, top 10%, you know what I'm saying? So they got married to them. But then when they went back to Alaska, these blue-collar guys making 50 grand a year, suddenly these blue-collar guys, they're not in the top 10%. So then the woman realized they can divorce that guy and they can upgrade and get a guy that makes 100 grand a year, you know what I'm saying? And that's what all three of them did. Yeah, that's what all three of them did. So I just want to say that story real quick. Another story I want to talk about is, what's happening in our society. And this is all tied into the socialism too. That's why we're talking about this all night tonight. Because what happens in our society, alright, and I should have talked about this first, but I'm going to talk about it first. This blog is going to go like an hour. I don't know how the hell we're going to do all this. I'm so messed up. But the part I want to talk about is that this ties into the socialism, because when you have a woman that's religious or she has high moral values, she'll get married to a guy, he can fall back and she stays with him because she's loyal. She's a good woman. She's a good woman and she stays loyal to the husband even when the husband falls back because she's a good woman. Maybe she's religious. Maybe she's got high morals. She stays with the husband. The problem, those women are becoming less and less in our society. They're becoming less and less. And you got more and more of these women that are like millennials, especially. They're the worst. And they're getting this mentality that they're princesses. They're getting this mentality that they're princesses and they deserve a guy that makes 100, 200,000 a year, 200,000 a year. That's what they think they deserve. And they have these unrealistic expectations, and they only want the guys in the top 5%. So what's happening is we're having a society where the family is being ripped apart. You know what I'm saying? And then we have a society with these divorce laws. The men are being brutalized. The men are paying the vagina money, alimony, whatever you want to call it, money. I just have a cousin. He just got divorced. He's now having to pay the vagina money. I know other people that are paying vagina money. I have friends back in Alaska paying the vagina money. I know so many men paying the vagina money, it would disgust you. So that's what's happening. So a lot of men, they don't want to get married because they don't want to pay this vagina money if they get divorced. They don't want to pay it. And by the way, vagina money, alimony, it needs to be banned. It needs to be done away with. It needs to be done away with. We're going to make another blog about that, hopefully later on. Yeah, that alimony, vagina money, it needs to be eliminated. It needs to be eliminated. And most of the time it's the woman that get it. Like 99% of the time it's the woman that get it. Occasionally a man might get it, but 99% of the time it's the woman that gets it. I've heard one statistic, 90% of women, they marry up, meaning they marry a guy that makes way more money than they make, because that's, again, female nature. And we could talk about that, but I don't want to go into it. We'll talk about that on a different day, different blog. So anyway, how this is destroying society is when you have these women that have low morals, no religion, they're secular, and they just see a man as money, 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 money. They're basically gold diggers. They're gold diggers. They're gold diggers. That's right, they're gold diggers. When you have a society of female gold diggers, you know what happens? You know what happens? A lot of those women, they're going to monkey branch their way. They're going to monkey branch their way. Monkey branching is when a woman, she's with a guy that makes like 60,000, she gets rid of him, and then she gets a guy that makes 90,000, then she gets a guy that makes 120. And then you know what happens eventually? They screw it up, and then they're 40, they hit menopause, and then they're single, they're lonely, and then they become cat ladies. And here's the thing. When you take a single woman, if she's on welfare or food stamps, 90% of the time she'll vote for the Democrat Socialist Party. You got an older woman, maybe she's on vagina money because she got divorced already. Maybe she's on the vagina money. You know, she's going to vote Democrat like 70, 80% of the time. That's what the statistics show. Married women that are good, that have high morals, high religion, and they stick with their husbands. They stick with their husbands even when the husband loses his job, even when he starts making less money. She sticks with his husband. She sticks with her husband. Those women vote Republican, Democrat 50-50% of the time. So if you're a socialist, communist, bureaucrat at the top, what do you want to do? You want to get as many single women as possible, because that creates as many Democrat voters as possible. You don't want a woman to get married because then they're 50-50 votes. You want them to be single because then they vote Democrat, socialist like 70, 80, 90% of the time. All right? And, you know, that's just one of the statistics. And, you know, we also have another phenomenon in our society of these beta cuck, beta male orbiters, you know, these manginas that are basically just like slaves. And eventually they'll get a woman, and they just basically are the workhorse. They work like 70, 80 hours a week, and this woman just runs them ragged. This woman just demands everything. This woman demands everything. This guy's working 80 hours a week trying to make this woman happy. Eventually the woman will divorce him. Eventually she'll divorce him, she'll get the vagina money, she'll get the child support, she'll get everything, pretty much, and this guy gets wrecked. You know, you see that again. And that's another reason why marriage is collapsing. That's another reason why marriage rates are collapsing, because these men, they don't want to get married. You know, they don't want to get married and then get divorced 5 years later and have to pay the vagina money and just lose everything. They don't want to do it because they'll lose everything. It's just very, very dangerous for a man to get married if you get divorced, because if a man gets married, gets divorced, his life gets wrecked. He loses everything. He loses the house. He loses everything. He might not even get to see his kids if he has kids. He loses everything, and the woman, she cashes out 99% of the time. This is how it is. And the woman, she just cashes out. She cashes out. It's like a slot machine. She just hits the lotto. It's sick. It's really sick. And that's why divorce is collapsing, because a lot of men don't want to do it. And a lot of these women, I'd say 50% of these women, they're just gold diggers. They're just vicious, vicious, viper gold diggers. Most of them are Democrats too. I just want to say that. Most of those gold digger women, I've actually done statistics on this. I've actually done research on this. I almost wrote the book on this. Most of those women, they're gold diggers. Most of them vote for the Democrat Socialist Party. They're just trying to get free shit. That's all they want. They just want free shit. They just want free, free, free. Get a man, get all his money, get the government programs, get all that socialist money. That's how it is. It's really sick, and it's destroying our society. We're going to keep doing more blogs. I'm just messed up right now. So I've been talking about a lot of issues. Another issue I want to talk about is when I was 19 years old, I got to go quick. I got so much to talk about. When I was 19 years old, I met a she-male. And the she-male, real feminine, and she was a gold digger. She was a gold digger. But I broke up a year and a half later, lost about $5 grand. The gold digger basically bought a bunch of junk, a bunch of fancy jewelry, a bunch of like fancy luxury products. I sold most of it, but I still lost like $5,000. You know, that was a nightmare. So if you think, oh, I'll just get a she-male, and then that will be better, they're gold diggers too. They're gold diggers too. All right. Just want to say that real quick. Another thing I want to talk about is the corporations. Corporations in the government, they want basically they want to have men get wrecked. You know, the corporations and the government, they want men wrecked, because if men are the plow horses, if men are the beta male plow horses working 70 hours a week, the men work 70 hours a week, the corporations get rich, the government gets all the tax money, that guy works 70 hours a week, he literally lives in poverty. I've seen it happen myself. I've seen it happen. I've seen these guys work 70 hours a week, they're driving an old car, and they're giving all the money to their wife. The wife gets everything, and the government and the tax system loves it, because in that system, the woman will waste the money, most of the time, not all the time, but a lot of times the woman will waste that money, and she'll waste it on fancy jewelry, fancy clothes, stuff that's really high profit margin, really high tax rate, so the government loves the taxes, corporations love the high profit margin. Another thing too is, the corporations and the government, I think they love divorce too. You know why? Because then the woman gets vagina money a lot of times, and she'll get a big payout, and then she'll just, a lot of times, maybe 50–60% of the time, she'll just waste the money. She'll just waste it on luxury goods, high profit margin for the corporations, a lot of taxes for the government. It's sick. It's really sick. The whole system is sick. I want to talk about that too. What else am I going to talk about? I want to talk about, they got this one video on the internet. I've been watching a lot of MGTOW blogs. I've been watching a lot of these blogs. And there's this woman, she's like 20 or something. She's good looking. And she's taking a bath in bath water. And she bottles up the bath water, and she's selling it for like $10 or $20, and she sells like 500 of these bath waters. She's making like, I don't know, 500 times 20, what is that, like $10,000 off bath water. And men are buying this. You know, men are messed up. You know, when you do that, you're making that woman rich, and you're just showing what a cuckold you are, basically. You're showing what a mangina you are. You know, it's really crazy. I want to talk about that as well. Another thing I want to talk about is, when I was at Blackcomb Whistler Ski Resort, this is going all over because I'm just reading the sheet that I wrote when I was sober. Now I'm all messed up, so I don't even know what I'm saying. But when I was at the Blackcomb Whistler Ski Resort, I saw a scene that just shocked me. It was disgusting, folks. It was disgusting. This happened at the Blackcomb Whistler Ski Resort. Oh my God, it's 17 minutes already. I'm telling you, this is going to be like an hour or two. I got a sober up or something. But anyway, I was at the Blackcomb Whistler Ski Resort. Awesome ski resort. That's up in just an hour north of Vancouver, Canada. It's an awesome ski resort, 5,000 vertical. And I was skiing on a great powder day. I came down to the village with my skis like this, just walking down the street, and I saw this family. You know what I'm saying? I saw this family coming towards me, all right? It was like a guy with his two little kids, and the guy and the two little kids, they all had skis, all right? And I saw this chocolate shop over here, and the two children, they're like, Daddy, let's go to chocolate shop and get chocolate. And then right behind the guy was this woman. She's like 5 feet behind the guy, and she was dressed up. You could tell she was wearing like luxury clothes, luxury shoes. She wasn't skiing. She didn't have no skis. She didn't have no ski boots. She wasn't skiing. But she was wearing luxury clothes. You could just tell. You could tell. And I remember it vividly. I never forgot this. This happened like 5–6 years ago, but I never forgot. The children are saying to their father, they're saying, Daddy, let's go to chocolate shop and get chocolate to eat, or something like that. And I just saw the children like running to the chocolate shop, and I just looked at the father coming this way toward the chocolate shop. I was like over here with my skis, and they were coming this way to chocolate shops here, and I'm like looking at him, and he's like aiming for the chocolate shop. And he's like a big smile on his face, and his eyes are like straight on the chocolate shop, and he's like following the children. You can tell he desperately wants to get in that chocolate shop real quick. And I'm like thinking, dude, that chocolate shop's gonna be like 20 bucks for chocolate for you and your two kids and your wife that's 5 feet behind you. You're gonna pay like 20 bucks for like half a pound of chocolate in that chocolate shop because the prices are fucking jacked up, you know what I'm saying? But he was like desperate to get in that chocolate shop. I mean, his eyes were like glued to the chocolate shop, and the children were like almost at the door, you know what I'm saying? And then the wife, right behind him, you know what she said? I never forgot it. She said, honey, you promised. And the guy did not want to look back at his wife, but eventually he did, and she points to this diamond jewelry store. I am not fucking making this up. She points to this diamond jewelry store, and she says, let's go there. Let's go there. You promised. You promised. So that's why the guy wanted to get to this chocolate shop, because he realizes that he paid for that whole ski trip, most likely, paid for him and his children to go skiing probably for a whole week, most likely, and he probably paid like $5 grand, most likely, but because his wife can't ski, you know what I'm saying, most likely, because she wasn't skiing, because I mean I could tell by the way she was dressed she wasn't skiing, so now she probably wants $5,000 kickback in diamond jewelry. That is just, that's what I'm talking about with these gold diggers. It's just freaking ridiculous. That woman should be happy she's got a husband that takes the children skiing. She should be happy she's at the ski resort. She should ski too. She should ski too. That's right. She should ski too, but if she's too lazy to ski, she don't want to figure out how to learn, she should shut her mouth. She should shut her mouth and just let her husband and the children enjoy the skiing. Don't y'all agree? Don't y'all agree? He should just go in the chocolate shop, waste the $20 and fuck that jewelry store. That's right, fuck that jewelry store. That's all I gotta say. I'm done, man. I need another drink now. Y'all stressing me.